Hello, everybody. This is me again. If I do a lot of clearing my throat, that is because I ate and all that, and it's a nightmare. It is a nightmare. Um, so, so in today's video, I'm going to be discussing the topic of magic and technology in urban fantasy books, and I'm going to be mentioning J.K. Rowling in this book. It's not this part in this video because I'm going to mainly be talking about the fourth book in the Harry Potter series, which directly addresses the issue of magic and technology and all that. So, stay tuned for that. So, after this, I think I've got a couple more videos that I'm going to upload before I go to bed, but I just want to get this one out of the way. So, one of the biggest things that I knew right away before I even sat down and started writing my book was the idea of magic and technology, and how in the world does the protagonist navigate this particular type of thing. So when we talk about magic and technology, a lot of books out there have no problem with witches and wizards and all these types of people using magic to do things and also being around technology, being able to use a cell phone, or to be able to drive in a car, all this stuff. But what we also have in literature, especially in urban fantasy, is a couple of authors, and I don't know any other, that makes it clear that magic and technology does not cannot coexist, because of the fact that they're two different forms of energy, that basically magic overpowers technology and all that stuff. So in the fourth book of the Harry Potter series, J.K. Rowling wrote that Hermione Granger explained to Ron and Harry that magic makes technology go haywire. And that's why you don't have the things that normal people use. You don't have cell phones, you don't have pagers, you don't have the internet, you don't have all this. So you have that clear defined rule about magic and technology. So in the Dresden Files, this is explained in book 1 about why Harry's apartment looks the way that it does, why he doesn't have all this fancy stuff and all this. He basically said that magic and technology does not coexist and can never coexist. So when I was sitting down to write this book, I said to myself, okay, I know I'm going to have to answer this about magic and about technology. And I took a leaf out of Jim Butcher's book by having Diane driving a 1920s Model T. Yes, the one that has none of the fancy stuff in it. So the reason for this is quite simple. She has to drive. But not all people that practice magic drives a car. Some of them have discovered ways to get around and get where they have to go without the use of a car. In fact, since the story takes place here in Louisville, we have TARC buses. And those buses have been retrofitted to allow people with magic to be able to ride in them. So there is a way for cars to be retrofitted to allow magical people to drive them. The only thing is they don't like to use them, they don't want to use them, they prefer to travel by bus, or they prefer to travel by different other means. So literally the only person that drives in my book that has magic is Diane. Now, about a year or so ago, I wrote this fan fiction where, and when I will say about fan fiction is that it is a great way to find out if you have the ability to write a story. And I know people are going to say fan fiction is not real writing. It is, to me, practice writing, to see if I have what it takes to craft a story. And a lot of people were like, this is a really great idea, this is a really great story, you should continue on with it. I have not done fan fiction lately because I've been really busy with my books. So yeah, it does take it away from it. So when we are talking about fan fiction, sometimes like when we do crossovers, you kind of have to be creative about what you're writing, and especially doing crossovers. So what I wrote was a subgenre of urban fantasy called urban science fiction. And what it is basically it is a crossover of urban fantasy and science fiction called urban science fiction. I discovered this on somebody's video a couple of days ago. I think it was last week I discovered it. And what it is in essence, is that you put things like spaceships and starships and all this type of stuff, and you have this magical element in it. So in the story is a crossover of the Dresden Files and Star Trek The Next Generation, which is my favorite science fiction series. You can tell because I got a picture over there. So Beverly Crusher is the descendant of Harry Dresden, and she is considered, she's not a white court vampire. I don't go into details of exactly how she avoided that particular fate, but she is the descendant of Harry Dresden, and she carries that kind of reputation with her that people know who her great grandfather was, who still is, and all that. So I introduced this idea, and I did put it in my book, that she wears a band around her wrist. Well, actually more, it's like up here. It's like up here. And it provides this kind of bubble of protection that allows her to be around technology. And some people say, oh, that's a stupid concept. Oh, it's not a stupid concept, especially when the same writer puts it in her book. Yeah, it's not a stupid concept. So in the story, you have that same band that I introduced in that particular fan fiction. And you go and you have anytime that she is working, she wears that band. That band is an absolute requirement for her to work as a detective. This allows her to not to keep from causing havoc. People that are much more lower in the magical scale, they don't have to wear it because they don't produce the energy that people like Diane or people like her parents and her family members produce. I also mentioned in chapter, I think it's 15 or 14, I mentioned this idea of a dead zone. And the dead zones are not what you think they are. They are areas in which there is a high volume of people that do magic, and especially very powerful magic. And it is also the area in which the sewer witches live in. And I really describe their lair very well, at least I think I did, where it is a place where you buy black market items. So this is a black market area. And it's, and it's underground so that they're not caught. Because police officers will not go down there. So magic in my book, despite it being accepted, there's still that kind of fear that somebody will walk past them that has magic and the pacemakers will stop working, security systems will stop working, things like that. And so they wear that band to give people that sense of you don't have to worry about it. So, yeah, in my world, magic and technology do not coexist, and they never will. And I make that very abundantly clear in this book. I also had to go back and rewrite describing her house. I did not do that when I wrote it, so I went back and I redid it. And that pushed my chapters down a little bit, but not too much. But I think that when you are writing a book that deals with magic and technology and stuff like that, even when you're doing fan fiction, when you're trying to blend two worlds together, you have to. There is no exception to the rule. And I don't know how authors that don't address this get away with it. But you have to address, or you have to at least have an explanation of why magic and technology don't mix. And even when I was doing the fan fiction, I still had to address that particular thing. Magic and technology and how they don't work together, but how the White Council created these devices that allows people to... It's just how the world's changed and they can no longer hide behind technology from the early 1900s. So they had to adapt and to grow if they were going to survive in the new world that is that. So yes, it is interesting when you are writing it and you're like, well, how in the world am I going to allow this character to navigate through that particular type of world? So I had a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun writing it. I breezed through 5,000 words today with no problem. So yeah, it's a very interesting concept and idea, and I absolutely loved doing it. All right, so I am going to end it here. When I am able to do another video like this, I will be talking about a couple of the creatures that you will see in this book. And some of the laws that have been put into place to protect these creatures. So I will see you guys around. Bye.